right, let's go ahead and take a look at our Huntington Bank highlights from this game. And let's go back to the first period. And obviously with Toledo not scoring, we're not going to have a ton of highlights that we want to talk about, but it is going to be a good amount of highlights nonetheless. And it was the Indy Fuel got that goal there. They didn't get a lot of chances though, Claire, in that first period. And Toledo controlled more of the first period, and that's where this game kind of turned, was the fact that they weren't able to find anything into the back of the net on Michael Lackey.
And I was pleasantly surprised with the energy Toledo had coming out, because again, we talked a lot about 7 games in 10 days, 4 and 5, and they were on top of it in the first period. If you had to, pick a winner and a loser away from goals scored, I would say Toledo owned that first, but it was tough for them to match Indy's intensity in the second and third.
Yeah, and where the fact that Indy had that day off yesterday starts to play in the further along you go into the game. And we saw that as we got further along, because then all of a sudden the Indy Fuel, strong second period, they got a majority of the chances, and they get the turnover there at center, and they end up getting the rebound goal. That made it 2-0, made it an even more of an uphill climb for Toledo.
And there was nothing that Christopoulos could have done in that moment. It was a situation of Indy having more numbers, and then Hinzik, just the perfect setup, had the right idea, looked like he was trying to bank it off of one of the many pads or legs or skates, and just hit nothing. I don't know how it hit nothing.
I don't either. That's still mind-blowing that did not hit anything from Michael Lackey there. Came out the other way. Instead, it ends up early third, Toledo on the power play, but they gave up more chances than they were able to create on the man advantage. And then Darian Craighead finding the back of the net early in the third made it 3-0. Toledo just could never get that push in the third period. They still ended up out shooting Indy for the stats as we look at those, brought to you by College Advantage. Toledo had 2 power play chances, weren't able to generate a ton. They had more on the first one than they did on the second, and they held the Indy Fuel at bay on the only chance that they had in the game. It just one of those days, you hit the end of a grind, you're tired, things happen, you lose a game. You're not going to beat a team 10 times in a year. Toledo had already done it 7 times against the Indy Fuel. So hard to even do that, let alone keep that rolling. There was a lot of things that played into today's game.